ओम ज्ञानतिमिनन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांतो राधा कांतो नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। प्लीज रिपीट। हरे कृष्णा
Hare
कृष्णा
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
हरे
Ram,
राम
Ram
हरे हरे। Once more. हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा
Krishna Krishna,
हरे
Hare Hare,
हरे राम
Hare
राम हरे हरे। So Hare Krishna, welcome all of you. And today we have two more volunteers who have joined our session for the first time, Arima and Ankita. I'm not sure Vaibhav has joined or not, but yeah, Ankita and Arima are here. So welcome Arima and Ankita. And maybe I'll just summarize quickly what we have discussed in last, like maybe I think 12 sessions have gone by. So I'll just summarize very shortly. And if you want to dive deeper, you can refer to the lectures. First, you can look at the summary of the chapter one. And if you like, even want to dive more deeper, then you can look at the other 10 sessions. So yeah. So I'll just project also just a second. Yeah, so basically what is happening in Bhagavad Gita till now is that first of all, Dhritarashtra is asking a question to Sanjaya that what did my sons do on the battlefield? And it's a very stupid question because it's the battlefield and everybody is standing in front of each other. So what will they do? They will fight, obviously. So this basically denotes the attachments which Dhritarashtra is having in his heart, and the uncertainties, insecurities which he is having about the outcome of the battle. And then basically we see that Duryodhana is also making diplomatic arguments with his superiors, which is not a Vaishnava etiquette. And then when after that Krishna takes the chariot of Arjuna in between the two armies. So Krishna is actually acting as a charioteer for Arjuna. So that is also a very menial service. And as soon as the chariot is laid down in front of the Kauravas, Arjuna is totally confused because he is uh, basically he's identifying with those identities. So one thing I would say that change in identity, if you can understand these two things, you can understand the entire Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna is identifying with those identities. There is his guru like Dronacharya, and he is saying that he is my guru, how can I kill him? And Bhishmadev is my ancestor, how can I kill him? And there are other relatives, my sons are there, how can I kill them? So I am a parent, I am a disciple, I am a child. So all these identifications are there, and how can I kill them? So all these. So then basically Arjuna becomes full of negative emotions because he doesn't see any gain in fighting the war. Because even if he wins the war, there will be nobody with whom he can enjoy the kingdom. And if he, okay. Okay. Am I audible? Because here is
Yes,
a
you are.
okay. I'm audible. I thought the power cut is there, so I would not, might not be audible. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was projecting the wrong screen. So this is the like correct screen, which is the summary of verses of second chapter. So the bird's eye view. Yeah. So I was telling that Arjuna is full of negative emotions because of his identification with indifferent relationships, and he's like expressing those negative emotions to Krishna, and he's also giving 5 reasons because of which he doesn't want to fight. So these reasons continue to like propagate to the second chapter also, and in the second chapter, finally, basically Arjuna surrenders because he becomes so much frustrated because of the various reasons he was giving, because the reasons which he was giving was based on the bodily platform and based on the shastra which he has heard from his authorities. So but he became frustrated because he doesn't know whether to fight or not, because again and again Krishna is encouraging him to fight, but again and again Arjun doesn't see any point in fighting. So in the seventh verse of second chapter, Arjuna completely surrenders. Shishyas teham sadhi mam tvam prapanna. So that is basically, we see, so that is the contrast between this world and the dialogue which Arjuna and Krishna are having, right? So in this world, if we become frustrated, we might get angry, or like we might take an action on the superior, or we might utter something which is not palatable. But here you see that Arjuna is very, very, very in control of his emotions and behavior, and he's very, very systematically he's putting all these 5 reasons. We also discussed that Arjuna's intelligence is very, very clear. That's why he's able to make all these 5 arguments. So also we discussed that without understanding the qualities of Arjuna, we really can't understand Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is a Vedic scripture, and ultimately it's all about assimilating the transcendental knowledge. So that's why Arjuna basically he surrenders, and then Krishna smiles. Krishna smiles because the relationship has transformed. So initially Arjuna and Krishna were friends, and Arjuna was also mocking in the first chapter. He was giving various names of Krishna like Keshava, Janardana. He was saying that you are Janardana, you are maintainer of living entities, and you are asking me to kill them. And you are Keshava, who is basically decorating the braids of Radharani. And here you are asking me to kill. There will be a lot of bloodshed. These are totally two opposite things. Why are you asking me to do these things, and you are the like opposite? So like this, in a mocking, sarcastic way, Arjuna is taking like various names of Krishna in the first chapter. But in the second chapter, like after making all those mock sarcastic arguments, Arjuna surrenders, and then Krishna smiles, and Krishna sees that Arjuna is now ready to receive higher instructions, because now Arjuna has accepted this position of a disciple in front of Krishna. So then basically Krishna starts telling about the properties of the soul, that why he should fight and what is the actual reality. So this is a learning for us, basically, that unless we see things as it is, we can't really determine that what is the right thing to do. And this is a very important thing, like that is dharma. Dharma is all about how to basically, dharma is basically what to do and what not to do. You should know. And without having the right perspective, without having the right consciousness, without studying the scriptures, it's very difficult to understand that how to proceed in a particular scenario, in a particular situation. And in that situation, we should seek help from our mentors, from our seniors, with whom we trust, and we know that they are at a higher consciousness. So that's what Arjuna is doing. And Krishna also sees that when he is ready, then only he gives that knowledge. So Arjuna is asking various questions. According to that, Krishna is giving various knowledges. So the first knowledge is Sankhya. Sankhya Yoga is the basically, Sankhya means counting. So 1, 2, 3. So basically, you are able to distinguish between matter and spirit. So you can understand that what is matter and what is spirit. Just a second. Just yeah. So there is a huge storm here in North India. So sorry about that. Yeah, so basically, Krishna will start explaining what is the difference between matter and spirit. And in the last session, we discussed, I think, these slides. So this was the crux of the slide, that in the 13th verse, Krishna is defining the definition of a dhira, one who is not bewildered by the change of bodies. So devanasmin yatha dehe kamaram yoganam jara tatha dehantar praptir dhiras tatrina muhyati. So generally, we saw that, like in this picture, we see that so we are taken birth in the womb of a mother, and then when we come out, we grow, and actually at every moment we are changing our bodies. So science says that after every 1 week, every cell of the body is actually dead, and there is a new cell. So after every week, your body is totally replenished. So like this, basically, we grow, and we reach youth, and we reach the young age, and then we grow old, and finally we die. So when we die, then we enter into the womb of another mother according to our karma. So like this cycle of birth and death continues. So a person who is not bewildered by the change of bodies. So as we will see in today's verses, that this body is just compared to a shirt. Basically, as soon as the shirt is worn out, shirt is like torn out, you will buy a new shirt, right? So similarly, as far as the body is functioning, you will keep it. But if the body starts giving too much pain, then Krishna will arrange your death. And then you will go into next body where you will get a new body and your energies will be rejuvenated. And that's what like Krishna will explain in these verses. That even if you kill Bhishma Dev Dronacharya, actually they will get rejuvenated bodies. They have done so many pious and bhakti activities in this present life that they have so many opportunities to rejuvenate their life and do more, basically do more and more, be more enthusiastic and be more like do pious activities in the next body rather than this body. So generally it happens, right? Like if we lose opportunities in the existing job, then we go to the next job, because generally there is not much life energy left in the projects which are there in the present job. So we go to the next job. So similarly, basically, if a person who is not bewildered by such a chain, he is a deen. And then we saw the importance of tolerance. We discussed different types of Sahishnuta's, Vivek Sahishnutta, Dvandva Sahishnutta, which is duality, like tolerating the dualities of this world. There can be heat or cold, there can be happiness or distress. Yeah, so tolerating those. And if you basically are able to tolerate the dualities of this material world, and and you are basically able to not get bewildered by the change of the bodies, then you become eligible for liberation. That is what is stated in the 15th verse of Bhagavad Gita. And when you become eligible for liberation, then you are able to clearly see what is Sat and what is Asat. And a sadhu is one who puts his consciousness into Sat. He doesn't invest too much consciousness into Asat. So what is Asat? Asat is something which will not stay forever. Like here today, gone tomorrow. For example, job. Like you might work 15 years or 20 years, but eventually you will leave Google, right? Or if you basically, if you have a shirt or if you have any other apparel, or if you have a house also, like generally people become attached to house because they live in a house for a very long time. But eventually when you leave your body or anything, if you want to buy a new house, you will have to leave that house. So that is Asat, here today, gone tomorrow. So basically that's how we distinguish between like Maya and Krishna. So Maya means it seems like it is there, but it is actually not there. So just like a mirage. So what is a mirage? Anybody knows what is a mirage? wants to try.
The
Hallucination of
desert thing,
something.
Yeah, desert thing. What
like
in the desert?
if you're in the desert, people see there's water, but it's not there. It's just some. It just sang, but it seems like water, some water
Yeah.
body.
Yes. Yes. Correct. Thank you, Ashutosh. Tanusha, you were saying something?
Same thing.
Same thing. Okay. Yeah. So mirage is something which a camel sees as an oasis, very very distant from from him, and it is actually not there. Yeah, it's an illusion. So what camel does is camel runs towards that oasis, and he finds that there is no water there. And then again he sees another oasis, and then he runs there, and again he sees no water there. So like this, by running and running, he dies. So that is the situation of a conditioned living entity in this material world. Like we are all hankering for happiness, but we are actually not getting it. And that's what we were discussing about the acronym of the mind also. So mind, the I stands for imagining pleasure. So mind imagines pleasure. Okay, if I meet with that girl, then I will have pleasure. But actually, that is just a concoction of the mind. Actually, that is not real pleasure. The real pleasure is when you start connecting with Krishna, connecting with divinity, and connecting with devotees. So that is real pleasure. And yeah, as we go on in these sessions, we'll understand that how we can increase this pleasure, how we can increase this positive energy, which actually comes from the soul, and we can harness it by acting more in your relationship with Krishna. Yeah, so this was about the previous session, and now let's move to the verses which we want to cover today. So any questions till now? I hope everything is clear to everybody. Yeah, I see a lot of new folks are joining, so you should go through the chapter 1 summary session. Yeah. So let's start the 16th verse. I will project. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. Ubhayorapi drishtantvas. Sorry. So this is the verse 2.16. Tvaninos tattvadarshibhi. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Yeah. So that's how we understand the nature of a person. If a person changes, then what is how we will trust him? For example, Kamsa. Kamsa was basically so much excited to take his sister to his in-laws, and he was driving the chariot. Kamsa was the king of a kingdom, but he was driving the chariot and wanted to see Devki very very happy, and wanted to deliver him to his in-laws. And suddenly, Narad Muni did a Akashvani that the same girl whom you are driving, the eighth child from that girl will kill you. And immediately Kansa changed. He just took out the sword and wanted to kill Devki. So how will you trust such a person that if just a small activating agent, some event happens and totally your word goes for a toss and your character is totally out of place actually. And then basically Vasudev somehow consoled Kansa, okay, I will give every child to you as soon as he is born, and you can kill all of them. And then he basically tried to convince Kansa that you are not this body, you are soul. So you don't need to be so worried about Narad Muni's Akashvani. But still, how will you trust that person? So that is what basically you should trust a person who abides by what he speaks. Basically, if the body, mind, and words are aligned, basically are in line. So whatever he is speaking, that is in mind, and his body is acting according to those words which he is speaking. That is a sadhu. Basically, the body, mind, and words are totally aligned. So and when basically you see that a person is fixed in his character, then you can trust him. And that is actually the real internal potency, the real spiritual nature of a person. And if a person is changing, one moment this, another moment that, then actually he is in the he is under the modes of nature, he is under the governance of Maya. So that's what here it is saying, that sadhu, they are just bothered about the eternal things. They don't put too much energy into the non-existent, which here today, gone tomorrow. Like one day it is here and one day it is not there. So this is the 16th verse. Yeah, so there is a story also, basically, company. For example, if there is a company who says that please buy our shares, and then the company also says that after 1 year we will be finished, like our shares will not hold any value. So would you buy those shares? Of course not, right? Because, like, that even if you buy, maybe it might hold some value for 6 months or 9 months, but after 1 year they are of no value. So that is the real, basically, that is the reality. The more we put consciousness into our body and into our bodily things, those are actually not permanent. Those are temporary, and that will require more and more energy, actually. So more we put energy on spiritual things, the energy will multiply, and you will have more energy to invest into bodily things also. So that is the, like, the basically the paradox, the contrast, that if you put energy into bodily things, then your energy will dissipate. But if you put energy into spiritual activities, into understanding spirit soul, or reading Bhagavad Gita, chanting the Maha Mantra, then your energy will multiply, and you can use that energy in your bodily things also. So I'm not saying that you should not do your duties, or you should not act in your bodily relationships. You should keep doing them, but prioritizing the dose of the soul is also important, because although we are eating, right, we are eating every day. We are taking 3 meals: morning breakfast, afternoon lunch, and like at night we take dinner. So we are taking a lot of care of the body, but this soul also needs care. And this Krishna Katha, and this sermons of Bhagavad Gita, reading Bhagavad Gita, chanting the holy name, all these are dose of the soul. All these are the actual eateries of the soul. So try to nourish your soul also, and then you will find a lot of peace, contentment, and satisfaction in your life. Yeah. So let's move to the next verse. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyayasya nakasit kartam arhati. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Yeah, so although the body might get destroyed, although you might buy a new shirt, but you yourself will remain the same. So that is that we have to understand how to distinguish between body and soul. Yeah. Let's move to the next verse. Antavantai me deha nityasyokta sharirina anashino prameyasya tasmadidhyasya bharata. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Yeah. So this is a small purport. Tanusha, you want to read this purport?
Yes, sure, Richard.
Sure.
The material body is, sorry. The material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately, or it may do so after 100 years. It is a question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely, but the spirit soul is so minute that it cannot even be seen by an enemy, to say nothing of being killed. As mentioned in the previous verse, it is so small that no one can have any idea how to measure its dimension. So, from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity, as he is cannot be killed, nor can the material body be saved for any length of time or permanently protected. The minute particle of the Holy Spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. In the Vedanta Sutras, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of the supreme light. As sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this material body. As soon as the spirit soul is out of this material body, the body becomes to decompose. Therefore, it is the spirit soul which maintains this body. The body itself is unimportant. Arjuna was advised to fight and not sacrifice the cause of the religion for material bodily considerations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think your voice was breaking a little bit, but still, thank you for reading. Yeah, so basically, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. And as long as we have consciousness, that is the proof that there is a soul inside our heart. And Prabhupada clearly says that as sunlight maintains the universe, the light of the soul is maintaining our material body. So just imagine that if there is no sun for maybe 1 month, then what will happen? What will
Things
happen?
will get destroyed.
Yeah, things will be destroyed. Like all the agriculture will spoil. Like even we will not get vitamin D, so our bones might not get nourished, and all those things. So we are dependent on God for so many things, like sunlight, moonlight. Even the juice of the vegetables is moonlight actually. So moonlight is nourishing the juice of vegetables. So that's why basically we have a lot of dependency on the Lord for various needs and raw materials and ingredients. And here it is said that we get the body according to our previous work. So we can utilize this body to get out of this embodiment. Basically, we can do some bhakti credits or some activities, pious activities, which can eventually like purify the layers of the soul. So the soul is right now covered with the layers of mind, intelligence, and false ego. But when we do like bhakti activities or pious activities, these layers will slowly they will purify, and you will be able to understand that actually there is a soul residing in my heart. And we basically then we will be able to live our life on the spiritual platform. Then we will see things in a different way. We will not always see things okay, this is hurting me, or this is a very unexpected thing which happened. So when you bring spiritual conception, spiritual perspective, then you will be able to understand things better. So yeah, that's what Prabhupada is saying here. And just like everything which comes into being, it has to go. So since we have taken birth, like we will have to face death also. So there is no doubt about that, and we should have that expectation. Yeah. And that's why basically Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight, because by Varna also he is Kshatriya, and his duty, his nature, the very nature which we have is to it determines what we should do, right? For example, if you are a manager, then you have to manage your subordinates, the people who are reporting to you. But if you are a software developer or an architect, then you have to have good understanding of the design and the architect of the product which you are working on. So like this, we can't stop working if we have strong tendencies to do that work. So that's what Krishna is saying, that keep continuing your work and don't get caught up on your mental platform. Yainam vekti hantaram yasyanam manyate hatam ubhavato na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is slain. So yeah, I think it looks like a tongue twister, but yeah, basically Krishna is saying that nobody can kill somebody and nobody can be killed, because even if a person kills his body, then also he cannot kill his spirit soul. So if he is not able to kill his spirit soul, then he cannot be a killer. So that's why this verse. Yeah. So Bharti would like to read this purport.
Hare Krishna? Yes, sure. When an embodied living entity is hurt by fatal weapons, it is to be known that the living entity within the body is not killed. The spirit soul is so small that it is impossible to kill him by a material weapon, as will be evident from the subsequent verses. Nor is the living entity killable because of its spiritual constitution. What is killed or is supposed to be killed is the body only. This, however, does not all the encourage killing of the body. The Vedic injunction is Ma himself sarva bhutani. Never commit violence to anyone. Nor does understanding that the living entity is not killed encourage animal slaughter. Killing the body of animal without authority is abnormal and is punishable by the law of the state as well as by the law of the Lord. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in reason and not be misled. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for reading. Yeah. Basically, Prabhupada is saying that if you can't kill the soul, then people might argue that why not kill the body? So that is also not advisable because that will also incur sinful reactions. And unless you have the authority, you cannot kill. So people ask that Krishna is advising Arjuna to kill, so why not I also should kill? What is the wrong with that? But actually the wrong is only the authority. You should have the sanction of the authority. So Arjuna is having that, and that's why he is sanctioned to kill all the Kauravas. And that is actually liberating all of them and bringing them to the spiritual world. So that is there. So let's read the next verse. न जायते म्रियताव कदाचिन्नायं भूत्वा भाविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यशाश्वतो यं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So these are just general characteristics of the soul. So generally people say that show me the soul, then only I will believe. So they say that if you show me God, then I will believe in God. But to see God, you have to have the eyes to see God. For example, to see amoeba, you have to have a microscope, right? So you cannot see amoeba with a thermometer. So you need microscope to see amoeba. So similarly, to see the soul or to see the God, you need this mantra, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So when you bring Krishna into picture, then you start realizing little bit that there is a soul in my heart. And then if some symptoms will be there, then you can cultivate that spiritual conception by these spiritual activities, by reading Bhagavad Gita, by discussing about Krishna, and by connecting with devotees. Yeah. So like this, basically people argue that show me God, show me soul. But actually, if you don't have proper instrument, then you can't see these things. So the proper instrument, proper yantra for seeing the soul is this Maha Mantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yeah. So this is long purport. We'll skip this. Ved vinashinam nityam yaenam ajam avyayam katham sa purusha partha kam ghatyati hantikam. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Yeah. Ankita, you want to try purport, reading purport?
Yeah, sure. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Everything has its own proper utility, and a man who is situated in such a family knows how and where to apply things for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, the justice of the peace cannot be blamed because he orders violence to another person according to the codes of justice. Uh,
Yeah, you could not understand that sentence? Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for another, the person cannot be blamed because he orders violence to another. Yeah, so basically, like there are laws, material laws of nature, right? Because of which we have to take take those punishments. So if somebody murders somebody, then in the scriptures it is said that he should also be hanged on Phansi. So we can't blame the judge. Judge is just an instrument who is giving the punishment. But actually, these laws are already given by the authorities. So that's what they are saying. Yeah, please continue.
In Manu Samhita, the law book for mankind, it is supported that a murderer should be condemned to death so that in his next life he will not have to suffer for the great sin he has committed. Therefore, the king's punishment of hanging a murderer is actually beneficial. Similarly, when Krishna orders fighting, it must be concluded that violence is for supreme justice, and thus Arjuna should follow the instruction, knowing well that such violence committed in the act of fighting for Krishna is not violence at all, because at any rate the man, or rather the soul, cannot be killed. So, for the administration of justice, so called violence is permitted. A surgical operation is not meant to kill the patient, but to cure him. Therefore, the fighting to be executed by Arjuna at the instruction of Krishna is with full knowledge. So there is no possibility of sinful reaction.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very nicely read. So yeah, a lot of thoughts were coming to my mind. So here it is clearly said that to resolve of the reaction of killing a person, one has to go through Phansi, and then only in the next life he will not face that reaction. So that's why generally sometimes we scold somebody, we chastise somebody for some ignorant activities, because especially if somebody is very dear, somebody, if you have a son or a daughter, or if you have somebody else who is very very dear, who is very close to your heart, and you see that person suffering due to some activity, and that is, so then you can scold him actually, and but so that he can give up that sinful tendency, that sinful sanskara. So that is the welfare of that person, but you need to be like at the right position to give that scolding, and you need to be in the right consciousness. Your Krishna consciousness should be strong. But actually, yeah, devotee's heart is very it is melting, the seeing the suffering of other conditioned souls because of bad sanskaras. So like this, they are saying that anybody who commits sin, he has to be punished by the king. So I'll tell you a story here. So for example, if a person, he indulges in an accident, he basically he was wearing a pant coat, and he does that accident. He bangs a bike, and he was in a car. And immediately after the accident, he leaves his car and he goes to his house and he changes his clothes. He puts on dhoti, kurta pajama, right? Then that bike person, or maybe some other person who saw that accident, he will come to that person who has basically who was the cause of this accident. He will ask that although you have changed the clothes, but the reality doesn't change, that you have just like banged the bike, and that bike rider has severely hurt. So similarly, like even though we might change the bodies, but the sinful reactions of the previous body, they continue in the next life also, next body also. So that is one point, one drive away point which I wanted to tell through this story. So although you might change from pant coat to like kurta pajama, but the mishap things or the sinful things which you have done, that you will have to again take responsibility when you are wearing that kurta pajama also. So yeah, that just I wanted to drive that point. Okay, so let's go to the next verse. वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरो पराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Yeah. So basically, this verse is a very famous verse, very often quoted, where the bodies are compared to a garment, and generally, devotees give example as a shirt. So we'll move forward. Yeah. Okay, there is one question. Tanusha wants to ask. Yeah, go ahead.
So Rajat, in the last verse, right, it said that, when you move from one material body to the another,
Yes.
am I okay? So do we get the attributes from the old soul, or do we get a whole new set of new attributes and the things?
Okay, and what do you mean by attributes?
It may be honesty or maybe loyalty or something.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah. So basically, the soul, as we have learned till now, the soul remains the same, and even the coverings of the soul remain the same. So there are some sanskaras. So the soul is covered by the covering of mind and false ego and disposition, intelligence. So all these coverings actually they remain the same. Whatever you might have done in your previous life. So sometimes parents ask, like, my child is like this, why is it so? And what wrong I have done that he's so violent, or he's so naughty, he's so crazy. Actually, he's carrying those tendencies from his previous lives. So that is the truth. So both the soul might remain the same, even in 3 lifetimes, but the sanskaras will, at least you will carry whatever you are doing right now. You are actually shaping your next body. So in the next body, whatever sanskaras you develop in this life, that you will carry. And when you go to the 3rd lifetime, so these sanskaras might not be there, like what you are making up right now, because you might have absorbed or maybe created even lower sanskaras. So according to the actions and actions which we take in our entire life, we develop some sanskaras, some vasanas, and those vasanas we carry in the next life. So those vasanas might keep on changing depending on our actions. Does that answer?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. A nice question. Yeah, Nirali, go ahead.
Hi, Rajat. So when we say that we carry the impressions or the sanskar from the previous birth, is it the summation of all the previous births where we haven't been able to let go of the sanskaras, or just the previous most birth?
So I didn't understand the question entirety, but I got hold of this word, like let go, right? You are saying that if he is not able to let go, then only we are carrying the sanskaras. Is that your question?
My question is, you mentioned that we carry the sanskar from the previous birth, right? From the previous lifetime, we carry the sanskar into the next birth.
Yes.
Yeah, so is it just the previous most birth or all the previous births?
Yeah. Actually, it's all the previous births. So sometimes we are doing some sinful thing every birth, and we are just deepening that sanskara. So that sanskara will become so deep that for sure you will carry. Even if you do bhakti, even if you try to have some nivaran of that sanskara, that might not be totally dissolved, and you might carry a lighter sanskara to the next birth. So actually, we are carrying impressions from multiple millions of lifetimes. Actually. Yeah.
And how can I have a full awareness about what are my sanskaras?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a very nice question, and yeah. So read Bhagavad Gita, read the 3rd chapter, the last portion of the 3rd chapter. It describes about lust, and read 16th chapter. 16th chapter tells about the demoniac and divine nature. So if you read the verses, then you will understand that what all propensities are residing in your heart. So scriptures and devotees and Krishna are the best means to introspect, to see the mirror. Yeah. So in 9th chapter, Krishna is saying, Raj Vidya Rajguyam, Pavitram Idamutvam, Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam. So Pratyakshaavagamam, basically, it shows you the mirror. When you assimilate this knowledge, which is king of all knowledge, then basically you can see your advancement in the mirror, and that is the first step actually. That this is a very good question. So when we see the see the negative elements in our heart, then it means that we are at.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, go ahead, Tanush.
Yes, so just to top on that, the same question, right? How can we have a fresh start when it comes to all the sins that we have done previously and just, get rid of everything from the past?
Yeah, reboot, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry, you can go ahead.
yeah, like the same questions.
Reboot, right? Yeah, so that's why it takes a disciplined program and very lot of sincerity. Especially, you need a spiritual master who can direct you, who can guide you, because we have blind spots in our consciousness and we might not be able to see everything. So, but in this stage, like where we are right now, we have just started reading Bhagavad Gita. We have just started understanding spirituality. I would say just prioritize what you are liking in bhakti. If you are liking prasadam, take lots of prasadam. If you are liking talking with devotees, talk with devotees. So we have to nourish this seed of devotion in our heart, and this devotion will dissolve all the sanskaras. In the third canto, Kapila Dev is telling this to his mother, Devahuti, that if you perform this devotion, then this devotion dissolves the entire material mind. And behind the material mind, there is a spiritual mind also, which awakens eventually. But one has to be patient and one has to have some sincerity, some regularity in his spiritual activities, in his ability to connect with devotees. Because through the devotees, that mercy will flow, that internal potency will flow. Because that is our true nature. We are here by our free will, by our mistakes. But actually, our real nature is to serve the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. And that conception, that conviction, we can only get once the mercy flows through the devotees. Once we develop those relationships, once we have good taste in our spiritual activities, hearing, chanting, then slowly we go ahead. And does that answer your question?
Yeah, Rajat, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. And this is very hot topic, obviously. This is the entire reason why we are here, why I am also sitting here. I'm also not totally pure or rebooted. I'm also working on these things, and but I can assure you that I have been in this process for last 10 years, that this process works, and you will see those layers coming out, and you have to be patient for sure, right? And it's only Krishna only who is doing everything. Like Krishna will arrange various situations in your life which will make you more purified. So from our side, our duty is to take shelter of Krishna and his devotees. Then basically Krishna will facilitate that purification, and we will become squeaky clean. Our Acharya says squeaky clean we can become if we are sincere in these activities. Yeah. Okay, thank you for nice questions. Yeah, I can this topic. There is a seminar on anatomy of Anartha Nivritti. So so there is this verse, right? Adav Shraddha Tatak Sadhu Sangha Tato Bhajana Kriya Tato Anartha Nivritti Syat Tato Nishtha. So the first step is to have faith. First step is to have faith in Krishna, faith in those who are giving you the process of devotion, faith in scriptures, what Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita. And then when you have faith, then you want to associate with sadhus. Tata sadhu sangha. Then you want to associate with devotees who will tell you about Krishna, who will tell you that you are not this body, you are spirit soul. And then when you discuss these things with sadhus, then you will do bhajan with them. You will glorify Krishna, you will do kirtan with them. Tata sadhu sangha tato bhajan kriya. Tato anartha nivritti sa. So with that bhajan kriya, then the anartha nivritti will start. And when the anartha nivritti is completed, then you will reach ruchi. So these are all the first 4 stages of the devotional service process. There are 9 stages, and ultimately the goal is the love of Godhead, Krishna Prema. So this very good questions, and slowly we go ahead. We have to take incremental steps towards Krishna, and that's why now we have new volunteers also. So yeah, feel free to add me as your mentor, and we will have a volunteer session separately also, and then we will have more organization over how we can go forward in spirituality together. Yeah. So I think I'll pause for today. Any other questions?
Yes, so Vaishali have a question in the chat.
Okay. Who gives authority, and how do we know we are authorized or not? Unauthorized to kill who? Humans, animals. Yeah, it's a good question. So who gives authority? So what do you think? Who has written Bhagavad Gita or Vedas? Vishali.
Bhagavad Gita, we know that hi Rajat and hi everybody else. Hare Krishna. Uh, Bhagavad Gita, we know that Lord Krishna gave that sermon, and Vedas, we know, other saints have written it. But in today's world, Rajat, we don't see them, right?
Yeah.
So, like, as to your point, you said that some people can say, hey, if the soul is never created, or if soul is never, it never gets destroyed, then how does it matter? Like a few Bollywood movies have also been made on this, na koi marta hai, na koi marta hai. Like they use that logic. So in today's context, I meant to ask you that who gives that authority? Like wars happen, people also, obviously from a nutrition perspective also, we intake non-vegetarian food, etc. So how do we know, like who's giving us the authority? How should we interpret it? And again, whether it is just for human beings or whether it is for other life forms as well. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you. Good question, especially for all of us beginners. So authority, I think we have discussed about this in our previous sessions also. I would encourage. So there is one session which is entitled "Why Accept Authority." You should go through that also. And I think we have. So there are two things here, right? So one is like source of everything is Krishna. All the fundamental things. For example, Vedas, Bhagavad Gita. Vedas are considered as the breathing of the Lord. And Krishna himself, Dharmam tu Shakshat Bhagavat Pranita. So religious principles are given by Lord himself. And Lord appears in each yuga in one of the forms. So as we have discussed in Satyuga, he is Narsimhadev, and in Treta Yuga, he is Lord Ram, and Dwapar Yuga, he is Krishna. And in Kali Yuga also, he is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So like this, Krishna is there. Krishna is watching all of us. And Krishna is giving these scriptures, giving Bhagavad Gita also. Although Vyasdev is speaking, Ganesha is writing, but in the 4th chapter, we'll see that Krishna will tell that he has given this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to Vivaswan also. Vivaswan is one of the Manus in the previous yugas. So like this knowledge is not temporary, it is eternal. And Supreme Lord is the authority. He's the ultimate authority. And at the end of the introduction, I would encourage you to read like Bhagavad Gita more like scrutinizingly, and because I've been quoting these things very often. So at the end of the introduction, there is a total disciplic succession chain which is starting from Krishna, and so that shows the bona fideness of this disciplic succession. And as far as that like that non-veg thing goes, basically this principle of non-violence is there if you see throughout the scriptures. So we have to live in this material world or in this body with a principle of non-violence, like trying to basically trying to impose minimal amount of violence, right? We have to act within our quota, and if you are killing some animal, actually you are disturbing him in his cycle, because these 8 million species, these are actually fixed for us. So once we degrade from human being to animal life, then we have to take 8 million animal species, right? And if you suppose a species is in the like maybe hen body, right? And if you kill that hen, then you are disturbing him. It will have to take birth in hen body again. So that is violence. and even that is right. Like if you are eating vegetables, that is also violence because you are cutting the plants, right? But actually there are techniques to minimize that violence. As humans, there is a natural tendency to eat vegetables and fruits. We are not meant to eat non-veg. Non-veg takes 48 hours to get out of our system, and it makes us lazy, it makes us ignorant, and it is carcinogenic also. Scientists have proved this, that non-veg causes cancer. And yeah, so even within like vegetarianism, we have to actually become Krishnatarian. Like whatever vegetables, fruits you are consuming, you offer it to Krishna, because Krishna has given those vegetables. So you offer it to them first and then have. Otherwise, what is the point? Like in the 3rd chapter, Krishna says that if you don't offer me what I have given you, then you are just a thief. Just like your father is making all the arrangements for you to live, for you to consume food. For first 10 years, like father and mother are totally responsible for the upbringing of the child. And we all of us, we forget those things. But actually, mother and father have done so many things for us. And we should be eternally grateful. We should never think that our mother or father is not doing like this or not doing like that. This bad quality is there, this good quality, bad quality is there in mother. But we should focus on good qualities. Actually, we should be eternally grateful to them. So similarly, we should see that how much Krishna is also giving us, and basically we should offer it back to Krishna and then take. That makes it basically sanctified. And we will see this in the 3rd chapter. So we have just started reading the scriptures. So once you at least complete the first 6 chapters, then you will understand that what is authority and what is the scriptural basis of diet, what is the scriptural basis of recreation, what is the scriptural basis of dance, what is the scriptural basis of all your activities which you are doing, engineering, doctoring. So everything is there in scriptures. So that's what I have to offer here.
Thank you very much, Rajat. Yeah. Sometimes one follow-up question, like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, one thing is when you proactively go and kill somebody. But say, I'll give you a real example. If a mosquito is biting you, right? If the mosquito is sucking your blood, then is it okay if you just like tap on it and it gets killed?
Yeah, you ask always difficult questions.
Like these are real life questions,
I will tell a Prabhupada first time, okay? So similar on the same lines. So what happened was a mosquito was sitting on. So one devotee was like killing mosquitoes, right? And so Prabhupada scolded him, why are you killing them? They are not doing anything. So that devotee stopped killing mosquito. So then the mosquito basically it sat on Prabhupada's arm. And then Prabhupada killed the mosquito. So then devotee said, you just told me that you don't kill a mosquito and now you are killing. Prabhupada said, now he is killing me. That's why I am killing him. So this is mentioned in Bhagavatam also. That if somebody is encroaching on yourself, then you have to take appropriate action. And a 4-legged animal will consume the 2-legged, the one who is weaker. For example, even if you see the hierarchy in Google, right? Like L7, there are like 7 L4s are working in under L7, right? So even if L4 is doing maybe 10 lakh rupees worth of work, 5 lakh of those rupees will go to that L7, right? So this by default in the society, it is there. I will share that Bhagavatam verse also, which corresponds to this philosophy, that automatically like those who are like above you, they will consume you. So like this, no need to worry that if somebody is really hurting you, you should try to like consult the authorities and take appropriate actions.
Thank you for clarifying, Rajat. This was very
So Rajat, what's the answer? Should we kill the mosquito or not?
Yeah, we should kill the mosquito. If it is biting you, you should kill. Because ultimately, like mosquitoes are also, Delhi mosquitoes are very obstinate actually. So no need to worry about that.
Okay, thank you, Rajat.
And generally, we should consult. Yeah, sometimes like people, for example, even our family members also, they give a lot of pain. Sometimes they don't behave in an appropriate manner, And sometimes we interpret also, right? It is because of our expectations. We feel we perceive that as painful. So we should always consult in those situations. This mosquito thing is a very small thing, but generally, like, we face these situations where every now and then, right? In our office situation also, like, there are other L4s who might encroach on your work, who might say that, okay, I am also doing this work. So all those things we should we have to approach our manager to clarify those things. Yeah, self-defense is important. But yeah, ultimately, like, this defensiveness, we have to understand that Krishna is our ultimate protector. That whenever we are not feeling protected, or whenever we are feeling insecure, then we should take shelter of Krishna and his devotees. So this eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, they are actually continuing everywhere. But there is a spiritual way of doing these four things. So that's why I told this Prabhupada first time. Okay, we'll conclude for today. A lot of good discussions today. Yeah, keep
Okay.
asking questions.
Thank you, Rajat.
Yeah, Nirali, you have a question?
Rajat, just this link, because I haven't been regular, this particular link that has this translation, which exact one is this that you're reading from?